Well, thank you so much, Attorney Sharon Baker Boykin, for being with us today. I am very, very excited about being able to talk to you about the subject. It's a hard thing to talk about, making your last will and testament, but it's an important thing to talk about.
Absolutely.
And I know you would agree to this fact that unfortunately, a lot of families, a lot of people aren't having these kinds of conversations. And that's why it's important for us to bring you on so you can help us kind of wade through this this topic. So
absolutely.
Let's get into it. I want to talk to you. I want to ask you a little bit. I want you to share with my audience a little bit about the journey that led you into the legal field, that led you to becoming an attorney.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for having me on your show.
Yes.
I am the oldest of 4 children of Charlie and Carolyn Baker.
Yes.
My father passed, let me say this, they were so into education, you know, they did not play. And if you brought home a C, and heaven forbid if it was something less than that, worse than that.
Oh, goodness.
They marched you up to their bedroom, lift up the edge of the mattress and pull out their report cards. And you got to sit there and you got to look, because both of them were pretty much mostly A and B students.
Oh, wow.
And mostly A.
Wow.
So they're telling us we didn't have any excuse to not get that homework done.
Absolutely.
Because education in their mind was the key to your future.
Wow. Wow.
So I was the oldest of 4 children. And the neighborhood we lived in was still kind of a middle-class neighborhood. In fact, the first attorney that was a Black male, he lived in that neighborhood, Albert Thompson. He's passed away now, but I actually got a chance to work in his law firm in summer of my first year.
Wow. And this is in what city, what town?
Columbus, Georgia.
Yes.
And this was in 1981.
Wow.
You know, I know I don't look that old, but you
know. No, you don't. You are a young thing.
Been licensed for over 35 years and time has flown by.
Yes.
But I will say what kind of led me into the topic that we're talking about is, as I mentioned, my father passed away the Friday before Father's Day of 2018.
Okay.
That date will forever stick in my mind.
I'm sure.
Because we were planning on going to church with him on Father's Day to his church.
Oh my goodness.
And my sister and I live in Atlanta, and another brother lives in Atlanta.
Yes.
But and my brother that's next to me, he lives in Columbus.
Yes.
But we were going to go to my dad's church for Father's Day.
Yes.
And then, I'm back. We were there the weekend before Father's Day. And the last I remember of him being alive, him and my mother were on the front porch as we were back at the driveway.
Yes.
We honked the horn, we waved, and they're on the front porch waving at us as we leave.
Right.
So, and we were intending to go back the following weekend for Father's Day.
Sure.
But he got sick, went to the hospital, and passed away.
Wow. Unfortunately.
And so that being in June, every month after his death, I had a family member to die. Somewhere in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
I had a great aunt who died in January of 2019. So I became the probate court administrator in May of 2019.
Wow.
So I'm saying God was preparing me from the inside out for this job, dealing with all those deaths back to back to back.
Wow.
Some had this situation in order, some did not.
Yes.
And then when I became the probate court administrator in DeKalb County, Georgia, seeing it from the court perspective. But I tell you, Deanna, it was so many ugly fights.
Yeah, you were mentioning that.
There are so many ugly fights.
Oh my
Because people usually, and I wouldn't say it's not always, an African American, but if you don't get your stuff in order, and you have a family who you already know have some issues.
You
already know.
It's going to get ugly.
It's going to get ugly. And they're already dealing with the grief of the loss of the person. Now they're fighting over what that person had and what they want.
And that leads me to my next question. Let's talk about wills, that last will and testament. Why is having one so important? You've already alluded to that. And who needs one?
Okay. It is very important because, number one, from a realistic standpoint, we are all human beings.
Yes.
We had a date we were born,
yes.
and there is a date that we're going to die.
Absolutely.
Most of us don't know that last date.
That's right.
Okay. Or how it's going to happen.
That's right.
But you have things that you've been acquiring your whole life.
Oh.
What's going to happen to those things when your date comes? And, you know, sometimes people get superstitious. They say, oh, if I do a will, I'm telling God I'm ready to go.
Yes, yes.
That doesn't change the date that's already in place.
That's, girl. Yep.
The problem is you already know, and let's say you have some minor children.
Yes.
Under the age of 18.
Yes.
And what if husband and wife died in the same car accident?
Oh my goodness.
So who takes care of those young minor children?
That's right.
You know who you trust right now. Everybody who will see this podcast, you know your family better than anybody else.
That's exactly
who you trust and who you don't trust. But if you do nothing, usually the person that you don't trust is the one that's going to run to the courthouse to ask to be in charge of your affairs. Oh my goodness. Isn't that the way? Isn't that the way? And you know, you and I've had, you know, multiple discussions about this. One of the things that you said that has stuck in my mind is that there are several well-known people that did not have wills. And I was shocked to hear about that. Can you share a little bit about that with us? Sure. Prince. Yes. James Brown. Wow. Aretha Franklin. Oh my goodness. Abraham Lincoln. Sonny Bono. Wow. Pablo Picasso. Oh my goodness. Chadwick Boseman. Now here we are in the season. And here's is probably the most recent because it's been in the news a lot. Yes. And Wakanda Forever is out. Yes. Oh, it's out. That's right. You know, big. Right. It's very big. And but here I'm gonna use him as an example. You got diagnosed with a condition 4 years before he passed away. That's right. Four years. That's right. So he knew. So, and I'm not saying that you don't pray for healing, of course, and a blessing and grace and mercy and forgiveness, Lord, and heal the diseases in my body and the pain that I'm feeling. But we all have a date. Yes, we do. So he married his girlfriend kind of on his deathbed. You know, he was in real bad shape when he married her. At that point, he was very sick. He didn't have any children. No kids. And had mom and dad was still living. That's right. Okay. So when he died, and the reason why we know all of this, because when you die without a will or even a trust, things have to happen that gets publicized. Yes, it is. So because he died without a will, his wife went to the probate court in their county and wherever they're located and filed papers asking to be the administrator over her husband's estate. Oh, wow. Now the mom and dad paid for his funeral. Oh, goodness. Okay. Then they brought the bill to the courthouse requesting to be reimbursed for the cost of the funeral. Oh my goodness. And the judge said no. Oh no. Because they did not follow the correct procedures in that city and county that this was taking place. And it was not in Georgia, but I'm just saying. Right. It's similar things will happen here too. That's right. When and they were even thinking about challenging whether or not the marriage was legal. Oh Lord. Was he in his right mind when he married her? Because if he has no legal wife, no children, of course, it drops down to mom and dad gets all the money. Right. Now it was reported that they spent back and forth, they spent over $150,000 in legal fees. Really? Wow. And all of this was because there was no will. Right. Okay. And I think that's why I wanted you to share that. I think people need to understand that these, although we're not all Chadwick Boseman with, you know, millions of dollars, but the general principle is the same. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, when I was a younger attorney, probably with 2 or 3 years at a law school, I had a client to come and see me. Yes. It was an elderly African-American woman in her 80s. Yes. She brought me 10 sheets of notebook paper. front and back, where
oh
she
my
wrote
goodness.
out everything she owned and
Unbelievable.
who she wanted it to go to.
Wow.
Now, when I say everything, I'm
Yeah.
talking about sheets,
Oh my goodness.
towels, dishes,
Oh my goodness. All the
shoes,
little stuff.
hats, pocketbooks, jewelry, clothes,
Really?
flower pots. I mean,
Yeah.
everything she owned.
Yeah. And we
She
laugh,
wrote.
I laugh at that, but you saying that's a good thing, right?
She was probably she was the smartest client I have ever had in that
Oh
arena,
my.
because it's not about how much your stuff cost.
No. No.
If you or I right now put an
Mhm.
ad in the paper saying, come get whatever you want out of my house,
Yes.
people be lined up to go
Yeah,
get your stuff.
they would. They would, because everybody wants something.
Right. And we've spent all of our lifetime acquiring things that we cannot take with us when we
Oh my
die.
God. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's in simple terms, a will is you putting it in legal format,
Yes. Yes.
getting it signed.
Mm-hmm.
In Georgia, you need 2 disinterested witnesses.
Okay.
Witnesses to you signing in the will,
Mm-hmm.
because people, you can actually go online and print out a will form right now.
Right. I've seen them.
That just means you are acting as your own attorney.
Right.
If you're going to do it yourself, then you're telling the world, I know what I'm doing. I'm a handler.
That's right. I'm handling this legal.
Right. But there are some, even in the ones that you print out, you can waive some of those requirements in your will.
Okay.
Let's say you pick your sister to be your executor for your will.
Right.
Well, in Georgia, if it's a female, it's executrix. If it's a man, executor. Okay. Right. But that's you have your will.
Right.
You're naming your sister as the executrix in your will.
Yes.
And you print it out, online.
Right.
Do not sign it until you are in front of the 2 disinterested witnesses.
Oh, I see. Wow.
They have to see you sign the will. They have to know what the heck you're doing.
Right.
Here in DeKalb County, when I redid my will, because even in Georgia, there's some things that happen that will void or have an impact on a will you've done before.
Oh, wow. Okay. Really?
So I had gotten divorced and I remarried. So I needed to update and redo a new will after the date of my marriage.
Oh man.
So obviously I can do my own. But when I did not sign it, I went to the courthouse.
Yes.
And the 2 young ladies who were clerks in the office that I went to that does the notary.
Right.
I don't know them. They don't know me.
Sure.
But they saw and asked, what are you doing? I'm signing my will. This is my last will and testament.
Gotcha.
And then also in the office was a notary.
Yes.
Who notarized me and those 2 witnesses' signatures.
Right. Wow. So all of that makes that legal.
Absolutely.
Wow. Now let me ask you a question. We talk about wills, but there's something called a trust, and we talked about this before, and I love the way you explained it. Can you tell my audience what the difference between a will and a trust is?
Okay. A trust is, there are many different types. I'm just going to keep it very simple, because depending on what your client's situation is, they can determine, do they want a trust right now? They want the trust to go into effect when they die.
Oh, got you.
Okay. So different types of trust, but basically it's you establishing a fiduciary arrangement to where your trust is a now standalone corporation. So okay. Gotcha. It has its own tax ID number.
Wow.
Okay. So creating it is one thing, but then you have to fund the trust, FUND.
Right.
Which just means everything that I personally own in my name, I need to transfer ownership to the trust.
Okay.
So the house would be in the name of the trust. The card would be in the name of the trust. Right. I got to do documents that transfer ownership of all my clothes, my jewelry, everything bank accounts. I got to go change that, because at the end of the day, the person don't want to have anything that I own.
Yes.
It all belongs to the trust, which keeps living after I'm dead and gone.
Okay, so now why would somebody want to do that, though? I guess is what I'm wondering.
Well, are you a private person, or if you don't care about people being all in your business?
Oh, okay, wow.
So you can set up the trust to where, and it's, again, if there's financial
Yes.
money involved or investments, you're moving up to the name of the trust.
Mm.
That trust lives on, and you can fund your great, great, great grandchildren
Yes.
from that trust because it's still in existence.
Oh, wow. Oh my, okay. So versus a will, which is, it sounds like it's a more dated document or something.
Well, and some lawyers, and I would probably recommend that too, that you do both a will and a trust.
Oh, okay.
Because let's say you forgot to move something out of your name into
Yes.
the trust before you died.
Yes.
Your will would just say, everything I own, I'm leaving it to the trust.
I got you.
Even the insurance benefits going to the trust, because that's the money.
Okay.
You're putting everything in the trust name. Now, here's the thing, Deanna, let's say it's the trust of Deanna Cawthorn.
Right.
You can live in the house of the trust. You can be the trustee.
Yes. Okay.
Managing and operating the trust. You get to drive the trust car.
Right. Yes.
And where the trust is lit. But you know it's not yours.
Yes.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
But then when it's time for you to transition in that trust, you have named other people, or it could be the bank could be your trustee.
Okay.
And because I did some 2 seminars with Truist Bank a couple of years ago on this topic. I was talking about wills. They were talking about trust.
Yes.
They were still managing a trust from one of our first 5. I can't remember the name of which president, but he was one of the first 5 presidents of the United States. I just cannot think of the name who it was.
Right.
But here it is now. They're managing that trust that he set up.
Yes.
You know, you're 3, 4, 5 generations from that.
Wow.
And they are still managing that trust and paying out benefits to who was entitled to get it. Because let's say, Deanna, you set up a trust and you fund it.
Yes.
You can state in there that when my child graduates from high school, they get X number of dollars.
Okay.
When my child goes to college, college is paid for out of this trust.
Yes.
And they get another check. When they get married, you give them money out of the trust.
Oh, wow.
So you see what I'm saying? They're living off the interest.
Yeah, it allows you to do things long term that maybe a will does not allow.
Absolutely. Because you think about if my parents had put aside some money in a trust for me, and even me and my other siblings, but said you get money when you graduate from high school, when you graduate from college, when you get married, when you have children. Aren't those some financial incentives to keep me on the straight and narrow and not throw my life away? Because I already know if I do these things, the money is already there.
That's exactly right. Oh, I like that. Okay,
so instead of that Barbie doll and them easy bake ovens and the big wheel and all those toys, if they had put, $1,000 in an investment account and left it alone and just said, this is what's pay her the interest.
Right.
Because then I use this funny scenario or thing with people when I'm saying, we like to eat the chicken.
Yes.
Which then starts producing eggs.
Exactly.
That's your chicken alive, and you spin and eat the eggs from the chicken.
Don't eat the chicken.
Don't eat the chicken. It's keeping producing eggs every year, like clockwork.
I love that.
Some months they're creating more eggs than others, depending on what the interest rates are. But still, if you are just eating the eggs and not the chicken is around forever.
That's exactly right. Wow. I like that example. I do. And we are, and people, and when I say we, and I don't know whether I'm sure you've had a lot of clients from various different races, but I say me, I mean, I'm wondering if African Americans, whether we tend to eat the chicken more. I don't know.
We do.
You think so?
We do.
Yeah.
Because if we, hit the lottery.
Yep, that's it.
The chicken is good. Then when the chicken is down to his last toenail, then we're trying to, but you don't spend everything or giving it away.
You don't consume everything.
It's gone.
Yeah, and I think that I think we made, as generations go on and as we learn about generational wealth and as we get more training and have more practice with handling money, I think we're doing better. I'd like to think that we're doing better as the generations go on, but it has been a struggle, I think, more for us because it's always been about surviving and surviving.
Right.
So just kind of, you get the chicken, you consume it, and then it's all gone, and then you got nothing. And
Right.
so we don't want to be like that. That's an excellent
Absolutely.
analogy.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna be wrapping up. I want my audience to know that there is a lot more that we're going to be talking about. So there's going to be a part 2. But before we even get to that, I want to talk about probate. You mentioned that word, I think maybe once or twice in our conversation. Can you, before we end this segment, can you tell us a little bit about what probate is? That word is a word that some of us have heard, but kind of can go above us, so explain that to us, please.
Probate in its simplest terms just mean proving that it's true.
Okay.
Okay. So with the scenario of having a last will and testament, in Georgia, your executor obviously needs to know where the will is, and you need to let your family know where it is.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it's not in a shoebox somewhere or under the mattress or what have you. But when the person dies that had a will, that original signed will needs to be presented to the court to say this is the last will and testament of this person.
Yes.
Now I'm keeping it very simple because I want people to be, okay, but
right.
That person has to notify all the heirs that they are presenting this will. And are they contesting, saying, no, daddy made another will 2 weeks ago or whatever. That's not the last one, whatever.
Right.
So probate is just a process of proving that that will is the last will and testament and giving that executor the legal orders now to go and handle those affairs. Let's say the person left a car, a house, somebody has to have the legal authority to sign the title and change that to other people.
Right.
Now, when somebody does not have a will, you still have to come to probate court because now somebody is asking to be in charge of your affairs when you died without a will. It's just the court that handles that situation. We also handle guardianships, conservatorships. Let's say a minor was involved in an accident and someone has to be in charge of that minor's money. Sometimes it's the parent, but then we still have a process to make sure that, okay, this is not your money, this is for the child. You're just, because the child is a minor and can't sign a legal document, that's why the child may need a guardian to handle that financial situation.
Right.
But yeah, that's the
legal
in a
process.
nutshell. It's just, but there are some things now that we can that you can do without a will and without coming to probate court.
Right.
Wow. We have a few minutes. I can tell you about those couple things. Please. So let's say you have a bank account. You can go to the bank right now and add a second person on that account.
Right. That's right.
Now, but that also means they got access to your money right now.
Right now. That's right.
Right now.
So there's pros and cons to that.
Right. So then you can say there is a form at your bank called pay on death.
Right.
And think of it as an insurance that you're naming the beneficiary who gets your bank accounts when you die.
Gotcha.
And make sure that person who you're giving that authority to knows that.
Right.
Because when you die, they need to take their ID plus a death certificate proving that the person's now deceased. And now the bank has to give that person ownership of the bank accounts.
Gotcha.
Probate court is nowhere involved in that scenario.
That's right. That's something that's outside of probate court.
Same thing with life insurance.
Okay.
You buy a life insurance policy. That's a contract between you and the insurance carrier.
Right.
Company that says, when I die, give this beneficiary amount to who I'm naming, who give this proceeds of the insurance to my beneficiaries.
Right.
And I always kind of talk to people and said, okay, did you intend for that insurance to pay for your funeral?
Exactly. I was
going to ask a gift.
That's right, because that can get really tricky.
Absolutely.
Right. Because I think we've always assumed, I've always assumed until you mentioned that when we talked about it before, that if, that the insurance policy of the person was meant to pay for, a part of that, a portion of that was meant to pay for, funerals and whatnot, but not necessarily unless it's been detailed, right?
Right. Well, here's the thing. You got a contract with the insurance company. You're naming someone as the beneficiary of this. It's a $250,000 policy.
Yes.
And they have to pay it out to the beneficiaries.
Right.
The person could say, they can keep their mouth shut and not say a word about using any of that money to help pay for the funeral.
Oh.
Unless, you have a signed agreement with that person and everybody knows.
Yes.
Because again, that's a lot of money and the insurance company has to honor and pay it out because that's what you purchased.
That's exactly right. Well, and so where would how would someone notate that, I want XYZ amount of money to be paid for my funeral, minus, take that out of the insurance? Where would you put that? Would that be in the will?
You would have a legal agreement with you and the beneficiaries, signed, dated witness, and you attach that to your will so they know. Okay, you see that you're supposed to pay for the funeral out of this insurance.
Okay, got you. Wow.
But if most people don't even know that an insurance policy is out there, and that's the thing. Sometimes people they don't know that you're already gone.
Right.
But people need to know. You need to have some conversations.
Yeah, we need and
have some conversations.
That's a good place for us to stop. We need to be having these conversations so that in the end, you're not running around looking under mattresses, looking through drawers, trying to find insurance policies, even as you grieve. Because
absolutely,
I think as you would know, tensions run high during that time. It's already very stressful. You don't need to add any more stress. We have a lot that I want to talk about, including in my next session with you. I want people to know that we're going to dig deep into one of your books called Help Me Get My Stuff in Order. This is an amazing resource that we'll be talking about during our next time together. So you don't want to miss this. We're going to dig into get into the weeds of stuff and what needs to be designated to whom. So Sharon, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I'm looking forward to talking to you next time. Until then, have a blessed day.
Let me add one more thing, Deanna.
Yes,
can I add one more thing in? Okay. Yes. I do have a free ebook. Now, the one you held up, you can buy that in Amazon. Yes. But I have a free ebook. If people would go to www.helpmegetmystuffinorder.com.
Excellent.
And then that's how they can connect with me.
Yes.
You'll get some the ebook and some other information be coming to you. Also, how to schedule a consultation with me.
Absolutely.
Because when I'm doing a general presentation, I'm not getting into that person's personal business and letting everybody know about it. But when we have a one-on-one, or if a husband or wife want to talk to me, or a family, then I can meet with them either virtually or in person, depending on the situation. But I've done this seminar or this talk in a lot of different places, in other states too, using Zoom.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's not a Georgia situation, it's a life situation. No matter what part of the world you live in, we have a date that we were born a date that we died.
That's right. And I will
what are we doing in that dash?
That's right.
That in the process.
And I'll make sure that I include those resources on the screen and in the notes on our new YouTube channel, just so that people have easy access to them. So thank you so much, and we will talk soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you.
Yes, we'll see you next time.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.